So I'm the founder and CEO of Cure Skincare. It's a skincare brand that, for the last 30 days did about $4.5 million in revenue. And I'm also the founder of Ecomm Architects, which is a coaching program that's helping e-commerce brands scale to $1 million a month. Now, in this video, I'm going to show you the product reality triangle. And I think it's really important because you need to understand your product deeply before you can build out your avatars, your channels, and offers. And we wouldn't be able to do, this type of revenue in the last, we started only 3-4 years ago, if it wasn't for this deep understanding. And why it matters is that because you can't sell what you don't truly understand. Like, it's that simple. And the problem is that most founders, especially ones we coach, only know the product at a surface level, the materials and the features. But every successful brand that we've seen and we've reverse engineered understands their product as multi-layered. They understand what it's physical, they understand what it's functional, and they understand that it helps people become emotionally and their identity, right? Has those 3 different layers. And the last layer, in terms of the emotional and the identity piece, is like where the big money is made. Because people just don't buy products, they buy a version of themselves and what it does, right? Think Red Bull, think Nike, think LV, They're not buying the product or the specs, they're buying Red Bull for their adventure, Nike for, their aspirational efforts in terms of winning, LV in terms of status. So the way I want you guys to think of it is like this, right? It's a triangle. All those 3 elements need to be in play for you guys to really scale to $1 million a month. And the first one is being physical. That's tangible out. So this is what you actually deliver. Your ingredients, materials, components, size, weight, packaging, all that kind of stuff. As an example, you have, let's say, a smartwatch, right? That physical reality is it's aluminum casing, the LCD screens, strap options. And I want you guys to think of the physical side of this as like the body of a product. It's skin and bones and organs without nothing else. That's the way you look at that, the lens of your product, just for that physical element. And then you want to think of it through the functional aspect, right? This is the utility layer. What does this product actually do for people? And what problem does it actually solve that creates an outcome here? Does it drive performance, results, efficiencies? Does it transform some effort into reward? And back to the smartwatch example, it might track your steps, monitor your heart rate, helps you stay on schedule. And this is the brain of the product, right? It's the logic and the intelligence as to reason why people believe it works. And this also maybe the unique mechanism, which I'll touch on a bit later. But that's the gist of the functional side, right? Now the emotional product side. Now this is the identity layer. This is the product that helps someone become something, right? It helps them feel a certain way about themselves because they're buying your product. Their identity, the status, the belonging, it all signals some sort of transformation in the self-image. For example, a smartwatch doesn't just track steps, it makes you feel like you're disciplined, makes you feel like you're a health-conscious achiever who's on top of life. Maybe that you care about yourself enough to understand what's going on. And the metaphor that I've got here is like the soul of the product. It gives the product a meaning and makes the customer say, like, this is who I am when I use this. And this is the way you need to think through this stuff, right? That's where all the juice is. Now, back to the mechanism right here. This is also a very important part. And why the mechanisms still matter as much as the identity layer and the belief layer is that a mechanism is how the product creates results. And it creates like this believability around the story. Without like this clear mechanism, claims sound just like hype. Now, this might not work for all products, like if it's apparel or something like that, depending on how technical the apparel. But for most products that we're selling that solves a problem, it does. And mechanisms restore hope in jaded markets. Like, let's think fitness industry. How many different fat burners have been out there? How many different fat burners have promised for you to lose all this weight? And you see that non-stop marketers are able to create a more of a unique mechanism, right? Some new ingredient they've found that works because of X, Y, Z, or a new way of taking something, or whatever it might be. They just need to create a bigger, unique mechanism that no one's ever heard, because everyone has the hope of losing weight. They cut through the marketing and themselves a new, unique mechanism that people will try, because the mechanisms differentiate you from everything else that you've actually tried. Now, when I take it back to our mask as an example, right? A bad example might be our skincare masks makes you look younger. But then a good example might be our mask stimulates collagen with their red light wavelengths, so your skin repairs itself naturally. Like, that's the unique mechanism. And think of this as the engine, right? That's the metaphor when you use. This is the engine. It makes people believe and say, fuck, this will actually work for me finally. And Eugene Schwartz actually said, he goes, mechanisms make people believe this will work when everything else has failed. That's why they're so prevalent in the fitness industry. Everything else, every other diet's failed. this is the new unique mechanism. This is the new story that will work. And you see that just in diet culture in general. Everyone's looking for some new carnivore, paleo, animal-based, vegan-based, fruit-based, whatever it might be. Everyone's trying to find the new unique mechanism as to get something to work. So they can actually believe it. And then they can understand why the other 10 different things they tried in the past didn't work. Okay. Now, what I want you guys to do, I'm going to give you also a sheet, is that you can do this in ChatGPT. And I'm going to give you this document attached in the description below. The section, essentially, this is a document that outlines all the things you kind of need to know. So all you do is, can you fill in the attached document with everything you know about how to cure LED mask? And I'm assuming that you guys have all built your own like ChatGPT for your brands, for all the different documents in there to understand your brand at a higher level. And then once you do this, this will make your learning, or it's actually the effort of you actually getting the stuff into paper, a lot quicker. But I didn't want to give you guys a document. I want you guys to show the fundamentals and principles behind it. So when you do this, then you understand why it works, right? So now we go here. We got free features, right? We're talking about like the product in action. Then we have like a sixth grade version. This means that what we tried to do in terms of our language is convert everything to sixth grade language. Sixth grade language, because then it's understandable to a wider audience. Hemingway was famous for this. But anyway, so I've got here in the document to make sure they give you sixth grade versions of it, so you can clearly depict what the features are, the desires are, and the believability is. And then step 3 is the features, right? You have all the features here now. Then you have the assumed benefits here. Then you have the assumed desires. This is more the emotional part. Then the identity part. Then you have unique mechanisms, right? That's going to craft out for you. Then you have some hidden mechanisms, stuff that maybe people don't actually think about, that you could potentially use to your advantage. So I'm going to attach this document. You guys can, prompt it however you like in terms of filling out the information. But this will give you some new understanding as to how well you know your actual product on all the layers, the physical layer, right? The identity, the emotional layer, and just the material layer. So the mind, body, and spirit of your product will get pretty much operationalized by doing this process, and it's give you a lot better information, a lot better understanding of your products. You can create the avatars, you can create the copy, and you can create everything that stems from this. So I hope that helped, and put comments down below if you guys want anything else. But I'm happy to continue to do trainings like this if they help, and do anything that you guys ask me. So I'll see you in the next one.